Do you like money? We like money, and so do professional wrestlers. When they want to supplement their income, they'll occasionally appear in commercials for various companies, often with humorous results. Here are 10 hilarious times wrestlers endorsed products. We hope you'll always endorse our product and follow the Sportster on YouTube by hitting the subscribe button right now. Andre the Giant, HONEYCOMB. Remember when Andre the Giant lifted up the 6'10", 363-pound Big John Studd at the very first WrestleMania and threw him down to win the $15,000 Body Slam Challenge? How about when he won a 20-man Battle Royal at WrestleMania 2 that also included some enormous NFL players? And what about the time he palled around with a bunch of kids in a treehouse while playing a gentle giant who loves honeycomb cereal? Wait, what? Okay, to be honest, this 1990 ad confuses us a bit. At first, it seems like the kids would be terrified of the enormous 500-pound monster outside their window who is clearly hell-bent on scoring some sugar. Even when Andre starts singing the Honeycomb song, he still seems pretty angry about it. And then he suddenly picks up a kid and delicately places him up in the treehouse. Before you know it, the giant is playing nice, spooning cereal, fist-pumping, and launching primitive robots into the air via seesaw. You know, typical kid stuff. You'd think with all the fairy tales about giants, the youngsters would want to avoid Andre, but they probably just recognize him from his role in the 1987 fantasy film The Princess Bride. Anybody want a peanut? Hulk Hogan, Hitachi. Some of these commercials are meant to be hilarious, others are unintentionally funny, and a few just left us scratching our heads. Hulk Hogan has starred in a number of commercials over the years, and at least one of them fit into the last category. It simply starts with the Hulkster wearing a white bandana and cheerfully singing a song about the days of the week as the sound of a piccolo is heard in the background and Japanese characters appear on the screen. Cut to a shot of an air conditioner, followed by a glimpse of Hulk happily watching something off screen that turns out to be a smiling baby. And all the while, Hogan can still be heard singing in the background. As the ad comes to a close, the wrestler is shown holding the AC unit as the words Big Flow pop up on the screen along with more Japanese characters. And that's it. Since our Japanese is a little rusty, aka completely non-existent, we have no idea what the narrator says or what the point of this 1991 commercial is. Perhaps the air conditioner is so pleasant that it can reduce the Hulkster to a lullaby-singing softie? Your guess is as good as ours. Unless you speak Japanese, of course, then your guess is a lot better. Macho Man Randy Savage, Slim Jim. Bored and annoyed by a mildly insulting senior citizen? What you need is for Macho Man Randy Savage to show up, launch the old man across the room, get him caught in the blades of a ceiling fan, and mildly electrocute him while destroying his entire small business in just a matter of seconds. At least that's the gist we got from this 1996 Slim Jim commercial starring the Macho Man, who terrorizes a lighting store shopkeep that cracked a joke about how many high schoolers it takes to change a bulb. Oh yeah, cause that'll teach him to try to make a living. As you likely recall, Savage starred in nearly a dozen ads promoting the pseudo beef jerky back in the 90s, with additional commercials showing him crashing a high school production of Romeo and Juliet, seeing nothing but Slim Jims in an ink block test at some sort of insane asylum, and another where he was clearly locked up after his previous psychosis diagnosis. In the last one, seeing some jerky causes him to burst out of his straitjacket in victory, even though the ad never explained whether or not he actually escaped from his padded cell. Our guess? Well, he received additional time for illegal jerky contraband. Kurt Angle, Pizza Outlet. As far as hilariously bad commercials go, Kurt Angle's 1997 spot takes the cake, or pie in this case, as the Olympic gold medalist was hired to hawk pizza. What exactly makes this ad so bad? Allow us to count the ways. First, the commercial features some cringeworthy CGI. Not that it would have fared any better with high-quality CGI, as it's difficult to not make two anthropomorphic talking peppers seem corny. Second, throughout the ad, Angle has to act like a goofy, incredulous oaf who is way too interested in watching two peppers wrestle, especially when he's getting excited over a lame move like the airplane spin. He also has to do a little fake cry at the end, and as we all know, Kurt isn't the best actor. To top things off, the company he was promoting for wasn't even Pizza Hut, Domino's, or Papa John's. It was the Pennsylvania chain Pizza Outlet. Angle's involvement in this cheesy commercial, no pun intended, was so ridiculous that The Rock used it to embarrass the Steel City hero during a 2001 Raw episode shot in Kurt's hometown. Thankfully for us, that scene didn't require him to cry. Sting, Sprite. Sting's WWE run may have been forgettable, but his late 90s Sprite ad, like his WCW tenure, was nothing short of glorious. The ad begins with a small boy named Jimmy opening the door to his home and being greeted by the legendary wrestler, who informs the kid that he just won a contest from the Dream Come True Fantasy Foundation. When the stinger asks if the kid is ready to wrestle, he excitedly replies in the affirmative. Although Jimmy stops to sip from his Sprite at first, it does nothing to help his wrestling ability. Sting immediately throws him across the room and demolishes a china cabinet by tossing his little body into it. The ad ends with Sprite's slogan at the time, "Image is nothing, thirst is everything. Obey your thirst." The real question here is, what the heck were the parents thinking? They not only did nothing to stop this enormous wrestler from entering their home and pummeling their kid, but they even cleared away some furniture so Sting could beat the snot out of little Jimmy while filming the whole thing. Then again, who knows? Maybe the kid had it coming. This was probably R-Truth's doing anyway. Although Macho Man Randy Savage appeared in the most Slim Jim commercials, which fellow wrestler was actually the first to appear in an ad for the company? Stay with us until the final bell for the answer. Big Show, Chef Boyardee. Big Show's gimmick, as pretty much his entire life, is based on one thing. He's a huge dude. So when Chef Boyardee enlisted the gargantuan wrestler to star in one of their commercials, it's no surprise that they drew parallels between his size and the size of their new overstuffed Italian sausage ravioli. The early 2000s ad opens with Show saying it's tough to be him, as he is shown accidentally knocking pictures off the walls of a narrow hallway, having his head bust through the top of a door frame, and casually ripping the metal door of a taxi off its hinges. But it also has its advantages, like being able to fill up on the aforementioned Chef Boyardee ravioli, which Show cheesily points out before taking a bite, mugging for the camera, and accidentally breaking the chair he's sitting in. Of course, it's not likely that a rich dude like Big Show actually eats canned pasta, especially canned pasta meant for children. But that's advertising for you. Kids need a role model to tell them, hey, if you eat this gross pasta, you can too grow up to be ridiculously large and smash your enemies to bits on a nightly basis. Kane, Stacker 2. Stacker 2 has used wrestlers like Edge, Christian, Lita, and Big Show to push their fat-burning dietary pills. But it was Kane who actually had the best spot. In fact, he had 3 good ones. The campaign revolved around Stacker 2 being the supposed smart way to burn fat, and it illustrated this point by displaying a few stupid ways to burn fat, all of which involve insulting Kane and having to run for your life. In the trio of ads, a chubby fellow repeatedly picks a fight with the Big Red Machine in various situations, like heckling him at a bar's karaoke night, belittling him for riding a tiny razor scooter, and chastising him for having too many items in a grocery store express line. The last one has to be our favorite, as the devil's favorite demon joins the line while comically holding an entire shopping cart full of items in his arms, before the ill-advised insulter singles out the veteran wrestler and shouts, "Can't you count?" Not only does Kane respond by casually tossing the cart aside, but he also picks up and moves an old man and nearly knocks down a granny on his way to chasing the man out of the store. Rob Van Dam, 7-Eleven. Many of the commercials in this list are funny because the wrestlers are cast against type. In other words, based on the personalities of their characters, you wouldn't normally expect to see Hulk Hogan working with babies or Andre the Giant hawking honeycomb. However, Rob Van Dam's early 2000s commercial for 7-Eleven is perfect because it actually fits him extremely well. First of all, if you're going to run into Van Dam somewhere, it's probably going to be at a convenience store. Don't forget, the guy not only portrayed a stoner for much of his wrestling career, but he was also arrested in 2006 after a traffic stop revealed that he was in possession of 18 grams of ganja. Needless to say, he's likely prone to the occasional munchies. In fact, our money says he was probably going to or coming from a 7-Eleven at the time. Also fitting with his personality, even though he was in the commercial to promote a line of collectible WWE Slurpee cups, Van Dam spends most of the ad flirting with a customer's girlfriend, who he appears to take home at the end. Seriously, if there's anything more Van Dam than heading to 7-Eleven to grab a Slurpee and pick up chicks, we want to hear it. John Cena, Gillette. There are a few obvious takeaways from John Cena's Gillette razor commercials from a few years back. The ad features the wrestler surprising numerous men in a public restroom, smashing an innocent trash can, ripping off a few doors, and loudly and aggressively asking each dude if they're ready for the Pro Glide challenge. Whether they truly are or are simply scared for their safety, each man eventually replies yes and begins lathering up for a shave. We don't know about you, but for us, shaving is a process that should be done carefully and without distractions in order to reduce the chances of slicing our faces open. In other words, having a 6'1", 250-pound wrestler standing next to us and constantly barking orders is less than ideal. We're also not fond of accepting random razors from strangers in public bathrooms. But thankfully Cena is a well-known celebrity, so none of the guys seemed especially hesitant. In the end, the commercial was hilariously entertaining, especially when Cena pressed the petrified guy to accept the challenge with amped-up enthusiasm and snatched the razor out of his hand with authority. You can't see Cena, and thanks to him, you also don't need to see stubble anymore. Kelly Kelly, Kofi Kingston, and John Cena, WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2010. Although we didn't want to include any commercials for WWE shows or events, we couldn't resist mentioning this hilarious ad for the WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 video game. It begins with a mother asking her teenage son who the numerous strange wrestlers in their kitchen are, as each one is shown. The kid replies that they're wrestlers he created for a match later that day against Kelly Kelly, Kofi Kingston, and John Cena. Kelly Kelly then appears wrapped in a towel and asks for help washing her back, which Kofi immediately volunteers for. However, the mother insists all of the wrestlers have to leave, and then the teen turns to someone next to him who is reading a newspaper and says, "No match today, Cena," and is then revealed that John Cena is the person behind the paper. John gives a charming hello to the mother, who bashfully greets him back. After the commercial cuts away to promote the game, it ends with the mom sitting on Cena's lap as her husband is shown locked out of the house in the background. Vintage Cena. Slim Jim's 1991 Snap Into a Slim Jim campaign was allegedly supposed to star the always outrageous Sam Kinison. But when the comedian declined, they turned to the Ultimate Warrior, who was the first wrestler to appear in a TV spot for the company. What's your favorite funny wrestler commercial? Are there any good ones we missed? Who are some current wrestlers that you would like to see endorse products? Fashion Police for Armani, perhaps? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to like and share this video. For more wrestling highlights and hilarity, be sure to follow the Sportster on YouTube. See ya!